ancient hair from different periods of history, it still had quite a lot of design to it. Again, the influences were less because people didn't travel the way that they do now, and so something that was being done would be done maybe for centuries, like a long, long time, with very little change. But within that, there obviously are tweaks here and there. So again, if you're doing a crowd scene or you've got a lot of people, you're going to have the same feeling, but you can tweak it around, make some variations. Whether it's Roman, Greek, Egyptian, all these looks will have a bit of a difference. We're going to look at something now, say Alexandria, that sort of time period. Ancient hairstyles were twists, braids, plaits, that sort of thing, as the most popular. And obviously the tools that they were using were not the pins that you're using now. So, will you use them? Yeah, but you've got to make sure they're out the way. If it's a play or something, nobody's really going to see them. If you're actually doing that look for a wedding or something, then it's fine because somebody's just getting an ethereal sort of look, which is basically how we see them, if you look at them nowadays. So we're going to separate the sides from the back. So just take T-section. I'm going to stick with a central crown, central parting to the crown, and then just take a line down into the back. And we're going to work with twists this time quite easily, simply, but it's effective for the period. Once you've got the clothing with it, then obviously it all makes a lot more sense. We're going to grab all the back and we're going to pull that down. And I will use an elastic just to make sure that we can keep it nice and smooth. You could twist straight from where it is now and just tie it up by twisting it. But I'm going to just secure it first. If you want to flat iron the hair out, because obviously you're working with just twisting the hair, so you can do that first just to get it out of the way. But what I'm going to do is just move on and secure this hair at the bottom of the style. Keep it relatively smooth. Use the elastic of your choice. Many different versions of elastic out there that you might find one works better for you than another. Now, as I said, you can do variations. So if you wanted to split this in two, you can, or you can just work in one. But all we're going to do, actually, because I've got a lot of hair here, I will split it. I'm just going to use a little spray along the length, and I'm literally just going to twist this hair around. Take a couple of seconds just to make sure it stays nice and smooth. If I've got some layering, obviously it's going to pop out a little bit, but that's okay. I can just tuck that under. Now again, if you're working with a budget, you'll be working with people's hair like I am here. If you're not, then you could do this whole thing with hair pieces and you wouldn't even have to worry because a lot of the pieces will come already in shape, and so all you're doing is slicking the natural hair back and just adding it in. But what I'm doing is I'm going to build this shape out with the natural hair. And so I'll just use a dark bobby pin or grip just to hold this. I'm going to pop a couple in before I even let go because I don't want this to unravel, so I just want to make sure it's anchored first. Once I've anchored the end of that into the top, then I can just pull back on this, and I'm just going to use a hair pin just to bring the shape a little closer. Make sure with the length of the pin that it's going to stay in one place. I'm now going to move through. Often, you know, a lot of the looks that I get requested are 20th century pieces because there's a lot more plays and things out there, but there's a lot of historical pieces being done now, more so in the movies, and it's nice to be able to use the hair in its natural state to achieve the look. So now that's got a nice twist to it, and again I'm just going to use a bobby pin. Pop your head down. Just on the underneath, I'm holding it secure and making sure that I can come in, get that hair, but secure it out of the way so we're not seeing it. The great thing with bobby pins or grips, as you know, is they come in all the colors you can think of, and so you can normally match up quite nicely. We're now going to move into the side. We've got a slight layer here, but again, it doesn't make a difference for what I'm going to be doing because we're twisting, but we're twisting up. I want to keep this nice and smooth. So again, I'll use a bit of spray. I'm going to pull this down, and then I'm working back. So I'm twisting back on this, and then I'm going to pick up from underneath and continue to twist. I'm holding it down so it's nice and close, but I'm pulling up at the same time because I want to follow along the hairline. Otherwise it's just going to drag down here somewhere, which isn't going to be correct for the shape we're wanting to build. So you can see this looseness, we're pulling that down, bringing it in, so tightly in and over, in and over. And then as you run out of hair, that's my last piece there. Just going to bring that round. And now you see that that shape's nice and it blends right the way through. And now I bring that across. So you can see fairly simply they were building up patterns at the time that just blended with the hair and its natural state, but it would just create interest for like just a day way of getting the hair out the way. They also did more elaborate work for evenings, and wigs, of course, throughout history have been very popular, and that's where hair gets more fun and more bizarre because the wigs really were over accentuated. According to where it was, Egypt, black was the big colour, and in Rome, blonde was what they liked because they weren't. So we always want what we don't have. I'm moving over to the opposite side now, just a little spray again. And again, just pull that nice and smooth. I've got a little bit of a lift on this side, so I want to make sure I pull that down. Now you're working in the opposite direction. You're going to pull down, match up with the other side. So you only want to take this front to start with. You're going to twist it. And then with this loose hair behind it, pull it down tight and start wrapping it round. As I say, really, these sort of looks are quite fun. If you were doing a wedding or something where someone's got a softer, ethereal sort of dress and they want a period look, something that's a little bit different, then this sort of thing works very nicely. Everything from any period, everything old is new again, as the song says, and it's amazing how quickly you can build a shape up. And obviously there's variations on this. This could be split into several sections like a couple of our other looks that we've done from these sort of periods and twisted down, which makes it a much more elaborate look. But basically the theory behind the look is exactly the same. We're going to bring that over again. And then as you can see, I'm just twisting it. So I'll bring it round to the opposite side, over the top. Twisting, twisting, getting those little ends that I've got. If it's one length, you're not even going to have to worry about little layered areas, but if you have got some layers, you're just going to bring that in and lift that around. As I bring that round, I'm just going to, again, connect with a bobby pin or a grip of the colour that matches the hair and make sure that that's hidden and not being seen, because it wouldn't have been something that would have been around at the time. Spray a little bit more, make sure my ends are under, nice and clean. And again, quite quickly, and again, if you're working on set or you're doing a dozen or 100 people, where you've got to do this sort of look, then you can work fairly quickly through this using their own hair as long as they've got long hair. Pieces obviously, but that's more elaborate, that's more evening, that's more when you're filling these shapes out. You could add false buns and pieces into the back of this, which we've spoken about before, with braided areas, with clips, so that they can actually sit over the top of these, and we've spoken about that. and you've seen those being worked in different videos, but this is just a nice simple look from early Alexandria.